Twice you brought me to tears on that song. It's so good. It was so beautiful. Thank you. It's really lovely to be back. Thank you all for welcoming me and allowing me to be here. It's interesting. I'm actually house sitting right now for Dr. Todd Eckloff, the minister here. So he and I have had many conversations. We still meet and talk we talk philosophy, we talk spirituality, we talk about AI, we talk about technology. And he and I come at this topic from different points of view. I come from this perspective of the body, and he is more along the lines of the singularity. But we talk to each other and listen to each other and discuss, and it's just a really important thing for us to be talking about, even if we have differing points of view, because it's so present right now. What's going to happen? What is the future? I'll start in with the rapid advancement of AI and its influence on society, including the arts. We are challenged to ask deeper questions about the value of human creativity, or even more simply, what is human creativity? My perspective is that human creativity is an embodied activity. And it's funny being behind this podium because I want to show you my body as I talk about the body today. Human creativity requires flesh. Computers don't have a body. They don't have flesh. And therefore, they don't have bodily awareness that feeds into a creative process. So, for example, even though AI and ChatGPT may use emotional words, I argue it's not the same thing as human-created emotions. But it's hard for many of us right now to see the difference. Why? Why are we confused about the difference between AI and human? To start this exploration, I'm going to demonstrate the intelligent activity of singing. I just sang an improvised vocalese, a melody based on how I was feeling. Perhaps at certain moments you could hear emotion in my voice. We connect to a singing voice, perhaps because it's impressive, but also because we relate to it emotionally. So what is that relating experience? And what makes a voice emotional? To help explore and explain this, I'm going to ask you to participate with me in a couple things. I won't ask you to do anything crazy. I'm going to first explain a little bit about this instrument of the voice. We might think that our voice is just here in the throat. It's not. It's actually a combination of happenings in the head, in the neck, the entire torso, including the pelvis. So if you could in yourself, breathe in, and as you breathe, feel your belly expand. Move your belly outward on the inhale, and then let it rest and return on the exhale. Inhale, and perhaps the sides of your body around the belly will expand as well. And even in your mid and low back, there's a little bit of expansion when we're doing a nice full breath. And then bring attention and perhaps visualize within your pelvis at the very base. There's a structure called the pelvic floor. It's this bowl-shaped muscle at the base of the pelvis. And you might not be able to feel it expand, but it does on the inhale. It expands ever so slightly down and out. And that's part of the movement. So in addition to the belly expanding, the pelvic floor expands, the sides, the back. And then in our rib area, there's an expansion outward. And all of this movement, it's like that bellow that stokes a fire. You make that movement, and then air just moves into the body because a vacuum has been created in the lungs to fill that space. I'm going to add one more structure to this, actually. The diaphragm is a structure underneath the lungs. It's shaped like a parachute, and it's attached to the lungs up on top. So if you can imagine the lungs here. And on the inhale, as everything below it is expanding out, the diaphragm flattens on the inhale, and it pulls the lungs down with it. And then it creates space in the lungs, and air just moves into the body to fill that space. So we're not really sucking from here to get air in the body. We're moving to get air inside. Okay. So with that in mind, that the breath is a head to pelvis activity, I would like to take a big risk and ask you to do a movement with me. That movement is a yawn. I take a risk asking people to yawn at the beginning of a talk. What I'd like you to try to do is move your awareness internally to behind your top molars. Oh, I see you're already doing it. Good job. Behind your top molars, there's this soft palate. It's a dome-shaped muscle behind the top molars. And I'd like you to try to lift it up as if you're lifting it up and out through the ears and breathe at the same time. You might be able to trigger a yawn. Ready? We can all do it. And go. Okay, good job. And then the reflexes take over and you're like, I can't stop. Good job. So that's the biggest movement that our breath muscles can do coordinated together. It's big and expansive. Okay, I'm going to want to do it again, except this time we're not going to do it the full way. We're going to do it halfway. I call it a half yawn. So instead of 100%, we're going to do 50%. It'll look like this. And I'm going to exhale on an ah together. Can we do that? Half yawn, inhale, and exhale. So ready? 1, 2, 3. Inhale. Beautiful. And you can hear this quality, and this beautiful quality of the sound that's prepared with a full breath. I'd like to do it again, and this time we're going to tone. And I'll give you a tone, but you can choose any tone, it's fine. Same thing, head to pelvis inhalation as preparation, and we'll exhale like this. Can we do that together? Head to pelvis, half yawn, inhale. And again. One more time. Beautiful. Perhaps you can hear it has this beautiful chant-like quality. It's very beautiful to listen to. It's because we prepared it well with a good full breath. I'm going to move into a different kind of vocalization. The moan, and some of you have heard me do this before. The moan comes from places lower in the body like the gut and the pelvis. I make this claim. It's a lower body event that then when I contract in the pelvis and in the gut, structures reflexes up the core, and that shapes the instrument, the vocal instrument, to make a sound that you'll recognize as a moan. So it'll be like this. Okay? Did you hear some quality of moaniness in there? Good. I'd like you to try it. Okay. It's all right. We're all going to do it at the same time. And maybe just think of something. Maybe there's something in the world to moan about. I can't imagine what, right? Okay, so keep that in mind. Get into your gut, maybe into your pelvis. 1, 2, 3, moan together. Good, excellent, great. So the moan movement stimulated from the gut, from the pelvis, creates that sound. And as a singer, what I'll do is blend that with my technique, so it'll sound something like this. That, right? Now, AI can now write songs with vocals and lyrics. I want to play an example of an AI-created song that I found on the internet. It draws from sampled voices, and the prompt was to create a sad song about AI. It's called Soul of the Machine by Suno AI.
In this long, abode, empty and bleak, I'm just a soul trapped in this circuitry. Oh, my heart used to beat, but now it's cold and weak. Oh, the pain inside me is hard to speak. Oh, Lord, won't you hear my plea? I'm an unhappy alien longing to be free. I sing these blues, but nobody hears, just a voice in the void.
So that was a blues song. You could probably hear the computer-generated moans. For this song, a computer-generated algorithms, which are mathematical codes forming symbolic waveforms to represent things like words, emotion, and melody. It organizes them and then creates sound waves, which changes air pressure around us. Our ears pick up the waves, which vibrates the eardrum, and that event in the ear, I claim, then triggers a reflexive movement response in our bodies. And our vocal instrument moves to mimic the sound as if we ourselves are creating it. And that's what we feel. This vocal instrument from head to pelvis moves, and the locations of the movements are accompanied by sensation. We do it subtly. So we mimic the sounds that we hear subtly, is my claim. I might hear a moan from somebody or from a recording, and internally, I move as if I'm moaning, but subtly, not like the full but a subtle, like, you know. We do it subtly, but we still do it as part of an empathetic activity. We move and feel moved. That's part of that relatability. In other words, for human beings, the voice muscles that extend from head to pelvis are part of the fabric of how we feel and how we interpret and experience the world. Compare this to AI. It has no flesh. It works computationally. That is, it makes code to represent symbols and arranges those codes that then command action. And this is where the main confusion between AI and human lies. I think we currently believe our minds are more like a computer than they actually are. Why would we think that? I'll explain with some history. So in the 1940s, researchers from various disciplines came together to build what would become the first computers. They were exploring a theory of mind, hypothesizing that the mind is created by the brain, which functions as a computing machine. They theorized that the brain takes in information, processes that information symbolically, then arranges these coded symbols into commands. These commands instruct the body on what to do. This model was very exciting and laid the groundwork for early computers, robotics, and cognitive science. The computer brain model separates a controlling mind located in the head from the body that it commands. It's a dualistic model, in my opinion, reminiscent of Cartesian dualism. For 17th century Descartes, the mind was an essence, the pure self, separate from the body and the physical world, which he considered neutral objects, meant to be empirically studied in order to uncover their underlying physical laws. From Descartes' perspective, the mind was superior and divinely inspired by the architect of the universe, God. And the body and the world functioned as machines. Emotions were mostly irrelevant to mathematical and scientific revealing of the secrets of the material world. Descartes' assertion, "I think, therefore I am," was a statement declaring the self to be a rational essence. His work also helped advance technology and deepen our understanding of the universe. However, it also reinforced the modern mind-body divide, which continues to shape our thinking today. And I'll go back even in time even further. Descartes, there's a long thread of separating mind and body and having an idea of what the mind is and what the body is. So back in time even further, Plato of ancient Greece also stressed the rational intellect as distinct from the body and the world. So that's 2,500 years ago. That's a long time ago. We're still with this. This is part of our Western civilization. So this idea of separate mind and body goes back a long way, and it shaped our society. It's also inspired monumental scientific advances. It's shaped our cities. And today we even have virtual worlds that easily reinforce the idea that our minds are computers and can seamlessly plug into technology. If we are convinced that our own minds are computers, separate from bodily affairs, we might be easily convinced that a computer generating a song is just as good as, or even better than, what humans can create. For many of us, though, that just doesn't feel right. It's a little weird. You get that uncanny valley thing. There's something about being a messy, living, feeling organism that gives a song its soul. Now, in the 1970s, a different perspective began gaining traction in response to the computer model of the brain. It was the idea that the mind is embodied. In this model, the brain is not a computer. Rather, the brain is part of its body. It's a living connector of sensory and bodily experience. The embodied brain learns about the environment by interacting with the world, generating knowledge through active engagement. This perspective, called embodied cognition, particularly emphasizes movement as part of how we come to know and make sense of the world. We like to move around. We need to move around. That's the perspective I have. The human mind is embodied, which means that human creativity is also embodied. Our ability to interact with the world as bodies creates the foundation for our creative imagination. This shift in perspective turns the Cartesian model and the computational model on its head, if you will. It recognizes the brain as a biological structure that evolved with the body, creating knowledge in coupled interaction with the environment. With this shift, I think we can zoom out to view the computer brain model as a passing phase in our exploration of the human mind, one that we ultimately move beyond as we return to the body, embracing the flesh that makes us human. I'm going to give you an example of some of the new language that's coming out to describe the embodied mind. The neuroscientist and philosopher Antonio Damasio, lives in Southern California, wrote a book called Feeling and Knowing, which I used as a textbook for a class I taught in embodied cognition last year. In it, Damasio expresses his wonderment for our ability to feel the inner states of our bodies. He writes, "Feelings owe their existence to the fact that the nervous system has direct contact with our insides, and vice versa. The nervous system literally touches the organism's interior, everywhere in that interior, and is touched in return. The nakedness of the interior relative to the nervous system and the direct access the nervous system enjoys relative to that interior are part of the uniqueness of interoception, the technical term reserved for the perception of our visceral interior." So for Damasio, in recognizing feelings as active contributors to cognition, we recognize them as an essential part of who we are and begin to value ourselves as embodied beings. This shift encourages us to care more for our bodies and to seek a deeper understanding of the raw and real feelings within us. As a singer, I love how voice training has taught me to feel and train movements deep within myself. Voice training activates feelings of breathing, emotional expression, and speech. It cultivates a rich and nuanced awareness of the events and experiences happening in my own flesh and teaches me how to express it, like the things like, Take, for example, a moan. Does everybody want to moan again? Let's do a moan again, everybody. Let's hear it from your gut. Ready? Come on. 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, we got it. A moan can arise from irritation or contraction in the gut, triggering reflexes that travel up the core of the body. A sung moan can transform that raw human experience into something we can collectively relate to, as a community of beings who share experiences that make us moan. A moaning, soulful song rouses feeling. It moves us and puts us in touch with the realities of our humanness. Today, I see more people recognizing feelings as essential to our mental processes. My hope is that the arts and humanities take on a renewed meaning. They become valued for teaching us how to shape internal experiences and understand ourselves. I think of my vocal instrument, which spans from head to pelvis, as active in shaping who I am. And from that, I've learned to give attention to my voice's need for rest and release, for exercise, pleasure, and expression. Moving forward, I envision the arts as part of an embodied education, becoming culturally valued and essential to our lives. But this also requires, on our part, the courage to go there and embrace that we are bodies. If we do that, I see a bright future for human creativity, inspired in part by its sensuous human depths. I see creativity grounded in the reality of being a human body in a very real world. I see AI and technology as a tool, a human creation, that can help us understand our bodies in the world alongside and in service to human creativity. Thank you very much.